Lytudiep greets my dear friends. Today the story about the extremely emotional love. After breaking up and meeting again between Tu Diep and Jame adds the appearance of Secretary Trang. James once believed that love and reason could not coexist, that to become a great leader, he had to learn to let go of emotions. He had once shared a passionate love with Tu Diep, a poor yet resilient young woman. She embodied innocence, simplicity, and a heart that always reached for the light despite the hardships she had faced. Her pure love was what first taught James, an ambitious young CEO, the true meaning of happiness. But under the pressure from his family, the board of directors, and overwhelming expectations, James made the painful decision to leave her. He walked away without a word, leaving behind a deeply wounded heart and unanswered questions. Time passed, and James maintained a cold facade and a relentless work schedule. By his side was always Trang, a smart, sharp, and calculating secretary. Trang never hid her feelings for James, but he never returned them. Still, she remained close, always seizing any opportunity to inch closer to the heart of the stoic CEO. One day, on a business trip to a coastal town in the south, fate brought James and Tu Diep together again. She was working at a small cafe by the beach. The moment he stepped inside, time seemed to freeze. Their eyes met. Tu Diep was stunned. James was speechless. She was just as beautiful as before, but now her gaze carried the maturity and strength forged by time. James's heart pounded, a feeling he had long forgotten. Trang quickly noticed the shift in James's demeanor. She cast a cold glance toward Tu Diep, then offered a knowing smile. She soon found an excuse to leave the cafe with James. But his heart no longer followed logic. He found ways to return. Hoping to speak with Tu Diep. For the first time in years, they sat facing each other. There were no accusations, only a silence heavy with emotion. James apologized. Tu Diep said nothing, but her tears fell. Tightening the grip around his heart. In the days that followed, James extended his trip. He visited the cafe daily, just to see her. He began anew, patiently and gently. Just as he had long ago. Despite her doubts and pain, Tu Diep couldn't deny her feelings. Their conversations grew longer. Her smile slowly returned, and James knew deep down he had never stopped loving her. Trang began to sense something was changing. James became distant and missed important meetings. Frustrated, she tried to get closer to him, even confronting Tu Diep and demanding she stay away. But Tu Diep calmly replied, "I have no right to stop his heart from choosing, if his heart is no longer with me." You needn't say more. But if it still belongs to me, then nothing you do will change that. Her words pierced Trang like a blade. Desperate, she tried to use both work and emotion to bind James. She even lied, claiming to be pregnant with his child after a night he had drunk too much. James was shocked but suspicious. After investigating, he uncovered the truth. Trang had staged everything. Furious, he fired her on the spot and severed all contact. Reeling from the betrayal, James returned to Tu Diep. This time, he held nothing back. He told her everything about his cowardice in the past, the torment of leaving her, and the regret that haunted him. He said, "If you can't forgive me, I understand. But please, give me a chance to make things right, to start over." Tu Diep looked at him for a long moment before gently taking his hand. "I've endured so much pain," she said, "but I loved you enough to forgive. Just promise you won't leave me again." James embraced her tightly. This time, he knew nothing would ever take him from her again. They returned to the city together. James introduced Tu Diep to the board, to his father, who had once strongly opposed their relationship. But Tu Diep's intelligence, confidence, and a sincere love they shared gradually changed every skeptical gaze. James's father finally accepted her, not because of persuasion, but because he saw a true light in his son's eyes whenever he was with her. A year later, on the anniversary of their reunion, on the same beach, James knelt down and pulled out a sparkling ring. "I lost you once. This time, let me keep you forever." Tu Diep nodded through tears. Behind them, the sun set brilliantly. Witnessing a love once thought lost, now reborn stronger than ever. After a simple yet heartfelt wedding by the sea, James and Tu Diep returned to the city to start a new journey together. James was no longer the cold CEO ruled by logic alone. He had become a man who valued love and balanced personal happiness with career success. Tu Diep, after years of endurance and growth, had become an independent, intelligent, and compassionate woman. She was no longer just the ex-lover of a famous CEO. She was the worthy life partner who would walk beside him forever. Their new life wasn't easy. They faced scrutiny from the media, judgment from the business world, and the challenges that came with their different lifestyles. But this time, they didn't let go of each other. Jame stood by Tu Diep, sharing every burden. He involved her in charitable projects, helping her realize her dream of opening a free library for underprivileged children. Their love became more than just a bond between two souls. It became a beacon of goodness for the community. On quiet nights, James would sit silently, watching Tu Diep read by the window, the soft light casting a glow over her gentle face. He knew, no matter how the world changed, his love for her remained as true as the day it began. And deep within, he silently thanked destiny. Thank you for following our story. Wish you good health. For giving them a second chance to complete the story they once left unfinished. with a happy, whole, and deeply moving ending.